Hi there, I'm Mandee Lee, the host of Try This. And Try This is an educational show that's all about cannabis and cannabis products, all to help you get the most value from our favorite plant. And today I'm going to share with you 3 tips for buying high quality clean cannabis so that you can select the best cannabis flower for you. So let's get to it and let's dive in and try this. Now, for your health and well-being, you always want to make sure that you're getting the highest, purest quality cannabis that's possible. Now, the pharmaceutical and the food industries, they have rules and regulations that they follow for your safety that are designed by the Food and Drug Administration. Cannabis, unfortunately, does not have that national system yet, though some states are getting better at creating much more clear guidelines and policies to try and ultimately keep you safe. But what this means is that not all cannabis is clean and pure as you think it is, and you wouldn't be able to tell that just by looking at your cannabis flower with the naked eye. You would be so surprised at what kind of results the labs are finding from a large amount of cannabis that's available out there for sale. So this is ultimately why we wanted to share with you what we feel are the top 3 tips for buying high quality, clean cannabis so that you know what to look for. Now, the first one is lab testing. So in the US, some medical marijuana states require lab testing by law, but many others don't require it yet. Here at Green Flower, we hope that the industry will start to shift and require everybody to lab test, which will ensure higher quality products that enhance people's health and mitigate any risks. We also hope that the price of individual people being able to do small lab testing themselves will drop as well, so that it's more affordable for the masses. So when you're purchasing any cannabis in the meantime, try to find cannabis that's been lab tested, because it's going to make sure that your cannabis is free of any contaminants, and they're going to test it for things like pesticides, dirt, residual solvents, things like mold and fungicides, fecal matter, growth byproducts, potency, purity, and quality. And most people would be shocked, as I mentioned earlier, by the number of contaminated products that get submitted to the lab for testing. And this is especially an issue for people who have already these compromised immune systems and then they're consuming their cannabis for medicinal reasons. So if you want to take matters into your own hands and you're not able to get any lab-tested cannabis by you, you can get a magnifying glass and you can put your cannabis flower underneath it. So this way you can carefully inspect it. And what you find will be simply amazing. First of all, the cannabis flower, it's going to have a large number of what we call trichomes that are on the surface of it, which are beautiful, and they look like these mushroom-shaped little crystalline structures, and that's where the majority of your medicinal value and your potency lies in your plant. Now, there are many other parts of the plant that are also beautiful, like the crystals and stuff that you can't normally see with your naked eye. However, what will take you by surprise in a negative way is how many buds out there look completely clean, but then under this magnifying glass show clumps of hair or foreign material and things like insects or insect eggs and feces, among other contaminants. So if you see any of these, then be very cautious about consuming the product. We even suggest throwing the product out completely, or at least taking off the section of the product where you're sure that you've seen the contaminant. Now, number 2 is strains that are grown organically. So though an organic certification, it doesn't exist yet in cannabis, many farmers, they can still choose to grow their cannabis without pesticides or other synthetic ingredients that could be harmful to you. So for all of these reasons, and especially the ones that I just mentioned above in the lab testing section, you want to look for and ask your local dispensary or collective near you if they have any strains of cannabis that have been grown using organic measures. So strains that are grown organically are grown without pesticides or chemical nutrients, which means that they shouldn't be laden with any sort of heavy metals and salts. Instead, they're grown using only biologically available sources so that they are the healthiest options for you. And more dispensaries, they are starting to favor this all-natural approach, which we here at Green Flower definitely suggest you favor when possible. Now, number 3 is outdoor sun-grown cannabis versus indoor. So we also tend to favor outdoor sun-grown cannabis to indoor. So whenever you have the choice, we choose the outdoor. And there are many factors why, because there's so many different factors that make up the quality of the plant. Similar to how wine from different regions, it tastes different and has a true kind of craftsmanship to it, based on things like the soil of the region that it's grown in, the wind and climate it's exposed to, the other plants that are around it, even the direct natural sun and moonlight, they all play a factor. Not to mention the fact that outdoor grows, they also have a smaller carbon footprint, which is a lot better for the planet as well. Now, it is important to point out that indoor cannabis, it can be grown without pesticides, and it can be more consistent in terms of the yield that it produces. And they can produce some really truly high quality potent cannabis. Although that's not to say you can't find outdoor grows that are just as potent, but it's a lot harder to find. And it is good to note though that different people have different needs. So some people might not need so much potent THC in their flower, and they might actually prefer a flower that has a less potent amount of THC, which they can get in an outdoor grow. Now, ultimately, when you're consuming the two, it's a subtle difference, but a cannabis connoisseur, and as you start to enjoy cannabis more and more, you'll be able to tell the difference between the two growing conditions, indoor versus outdoor. And as I mentioned, they can both be good for different needs, but we tend to favor the sun-grown outdoor cannabis here. But if you're someone who prefers indoor cannabis, just make sure that it's been grown without pesticides and that it's been lab tested, because that's ultimately what's most important. Now, it's also good to note that there are more greenhouse grows that are starting to pop up, which is a really good kind of happy medium between the two, as it combines a lot of the indoor qualities with the outdoor grow qualities as well. Our industry is growing in leaps and bounds, especially in the United States, with all of the new states that are recently turning legal for adult and medicinal use. But it's important to remember that many states, they still don't have laws and regulations that set health and safety standards on cannabis products and cannabis flower yet. So you want to make sure that we are all taking responsibility for our own health and safety in the meantime. Now, that's one of the reasons why Green Flower was created, to give you the knowledge that you need so that you can make the best choices possible when it comes to what you put into your body in regards to cannabis. And until our legislation kind of catches up, if you go to a dispensary or a collective and they're not already providing cannabis flower that has been lab tested with results, or cannabis flower that's been made using organic methods, then be sure to make a request and let them know that those are things that are important to you. Because dispensaries and collectives, they ultimately want to meet the needs of their clients. And the more demand that they get for something, it will show them that adding in these offerings, it's only going to increase and keep their current business. And as always, for any of your cannabis educational needs, you can head on over to learngreenflower.com, where you can learn all about cannabis from the world's leading top experts. Thank you guys so much for watching.